So everybody's thought about what red flags they want to look for in terms of relationships, what green flags they want to look for in terms of relationships. We all have some sort of list, whether that's in our mind or whether we've actually wrote it down. But a lot of us haven't thought about something that honestly can be the make or break in your relationship. And that's not the red flags, it's not the little things we typically think about. It's actually fighting styles. Fighting styles is something that can make or break your relationship because it's at that pivotal moment where you start looking as close as possible to the person you're with. A lot of us, we know that obviously when things are going good, bills are paid, there's no arguments or anything like that. Our partner's great, they're perfect, and everything's bliss and everything's amazing. There's nothing to find because there's nothing happening, everything's good. But when things are going wrong, when bills aren't paid or when money's tight or when there's issues with the kids, that's when fighting styles really start to matter. And the biggest thing with that is your partner's fighting style compatible with yours? There's a few different types of styles out there. There's aggressive, there's passive aggressive, and then there's passive. None of them are actually perfect, but you got to know yourself and know which one would work best for you. For example, two people with an aggressive fighting style probably won't do well together because one person's the aggressor and then the other person responds with aggression and then the other person responds with more aggression, and that just means you guys could end up literally killing each other in the house, and obviously we don't want that. So you got to think about which style works best for you. And when thinking about the aggressive style, if you think about it this way, somebody has an aggressive fighting style where they continuously get aggressive if they're approached or if they're continuously poked at, and then let's say the person who is with someone with an aggressive fighting style has a passive fighting style where she's really not fighting, she's just passive. She doesn't want the problem, she's more passive and more avoidant. That could actually work because it could give that aggressive fighting style person a little bit to think about what they're doing, a little bit to feel bad about their approach. Oftentimes, that fighting style is from the man, and when he's not met with aggression, it actually gives him a moment to relax, to calm down, and then he starts to feel bad and he's more remorseful. But if you put two people with an aggressive fighting style together, oftentimes it could just become chaos in the house because it's like they're trying to one up each other with aggression, and that's just not going to work. So the pros of the aggressive fighting style is you do know that they care because they show it. It usually comes from a person with a more passionate personality or less emotional stability. However, you know that they love you, you know that they care for you, and they'll give you attention whenever you look for it or whenever it's deserved. A passive avoidance style is going to be a little bit more difficult to put your finger on, but it's going to be very avoidant. The person is not going to really want to deal with the issue at all. They may say things like, I don't want to talk about it. It's not that big of a deal. And they brush it under the rug. The thing to look out for with this style is over time, they can end up growing resentment for you and hitting you with a divorce out of nowhere because the entire time they had things that they wanted to talk about, they had things that bothered them, but they never felt like they needed to bring it up, not realizing that that's just their emotional immaturity, not understanding that you do need to bring things up, you do need to have conversations and closure so that you can have a full understanding of the problem and then you guys can put that problem to rest. Now, passive aggressive style, that's a pretty common one. It's very common in women. Aggression is more common in men. And then avoidant is kind of even, it's 50-50. Because a lot of times women just want to avoid the problem. And a lot of times when men are wrong, they just want to avoid the problem, obviously, because the more they talk, the more they end up telling the truth and revealing what they're trying to hide and whatnot. But the passive aggressive style is an interesting one because it's still aggressive, it's just more calculated, more intentional, and their attacks are more precise. So it's very strategic. They know it causes a lot of frustration. A lot of time, a passive aggressive style will pair with an aggressive style person, and that'll be literally chaos because the aggressive style person is trying to get a reaction and trying to get a conversation going, and then the passive aggressive style person is pretending to be avoidant or pretending to be completely passive to where she doesn't want to deal with the problem, but she's definitely dealing with the problem. And I say she because it's more common in women, obviously. But she definitely wants to deal with the problem and she's dealing with it. She's dealing with it by slamming cupboards. She's dealing with it by withholding sex from you. Not because she's simply tired or she had a long day. She's doing it as a strategy. That's all passive aggressive. You may come home and normally you have your meal already made and put on the table, and you come home and there's no meal made or there's no groceries done. or the dishes aren't done, or she didn't do the normal things she's supposed to do. Not saying that these are jobs that women have to do, but the normal things she's supposed to do, she's purposefully not doing them, and she's clearly showing you and letting you know she's not doing them. Almost in a way to entice you to ask her, hey, what's going on? Why didn't you do the dishes? Why aren't you doing the things we're supposed to do? Why aren't you holding your end of the bargain up? She's not holding it up because she's being aggressive towards you. And she's using that passive aggressive tone to garner your attention. So I've given you a bunch of different styles, given you some things about them, some pros and cons. But now you're probably wondering, which style should I choose? Which style works best for me? And that's dependent on yourself. I would say aggressive doesn't work. Aggressive can lead you down a very negative path if you're not obviously emotionally intelligent. And emotionally intelligent plays a big factor in all this because no matter what style you are, if you're emotionally intelligent, balanced, and you're a logical person, you'll naturally end up solving most problems. It's when you couple these fighting styles with not being emotionally intelligent, not being a balanced person, not being understanding, that's when things end up taking a different path. For me, I'm in a relationship right now, and I would say that the person I'm with, she is a passive style fighter. She really doesn't want to fight, and it works for me because I'm a little bit more aggressive. I would say I'm the aggressor typically, and me being the aggressor, I already know I want to close things out. I want answers. I want decisions made. I want to move fast. And her being passive and not the type of person that even wants to deal with these issues in the first place, it just kind of gives me the information I need to know how to approach her, to know that it's probably better to deal with the issue the next day, to know that she doesn't want to harp on every detail in every single fight we have. She just wants to know that we're okay. She wants to know that I understand what happened. And if I tell her, hey, baby, it won't happen again, then usually that's cool. And she's good with that. If you're dealing with an aggressive style person, that might not be enough. She might need to see passion and fire from you. So, just a quick casual conversation, guys. Think about your style. Think about the style that works best for you as far as fighting. Make sure that the first opportunity you get to identify what fighting style your woman is, you identify that so you have more information because obviously relationships are complex, just like everything in life. Jobs are complex, degrees are complex, kids are complex. Everything takes some thought, and the best you can do with these things is to give it a little bit of thought and try to do things with a little bit of intention and hope the chips fall where they may. That's all for today. Hope you guys have a good one.